Picture this: a cozy porch where laughter once echoed, now quiet, with only the creak of an old rocking chair for company. Have you ever wondered why, as we age, some of us drift from the people we cherish? Not because of miles, but because of habits we don't even see? Aging isn't just about wrinkles or slower steps. It's about silent behaviors that can dim our joy, strain our bonds, and make life feel heavier. No one warns us about these ugly habits, but they sneak in, stealing the warmth of connection. The good news? You can rewrite this story. Today we're uncovering 10 habits seniors unknowingly adopt that make aging lonelier, and how to transform them into a life of purpose and joy. Stay with us, because number 10 might just change how you see yourself. Meet Mr. Thomas, a 74-year-old retired mechanic whose garage was once the heart of his neighborhood. Kids flocked to him for bike fixes, neighbors for his hearty laugh. But lately, Thomas feels like he's living in a faded photograph. His phone rarely rings, his kids' visits are brief, and he wonders, did I do something wrong? It wasn't just time, it was habits he didn't notice. Through Thomas's story, let's explore these 10 habits and discover how small changes can bring back the light. First, letting bitterness cloud the heart. Thomas used to greet every morning with a whistle, his coffee brewing as he planned his day. But as the years piled on, so did frustrations. His back ached, the news grated on him, and neighbors seemed too busy to chat. He started grumbling about the weather, the government, how kids today have no respect. At first, it felt like harmless venting, but over time, his words grew sharp, like thorns. Friends who once lingered for his stories now made excuses to leave. His grandkids, who loved his tales of fixing old cars, started visiting less, their eyes darting to their phones. Thomas didn't see it, but his bitterness was like a fog, dimming every interaction. This isn't just about complaining, it's about a heart weighed down by unprocessed pain. Many seniors, like Thomas, feel sidelined in a world that moves too fast. Once the family provider or community anchor, they now grapple with feeling invisible. Bitterness creeps in as a shield, but it builds walls instead. Studies show chronic negativity spikes cortisol, raising stress and heart disease risk. It also repels the connection we crave most. One evening, Thomas sat alone, staring at a photo of his old garage crew. He missed their laughter. Then he remembered his wife's old trick, starting each day with something good. The next morning, instead of grumbling about his sore knees, he told his neighbor, "That sunrise was something else today." Her smile surprised him, and they chatted longer than usual. Thomas began small, writing down one thing he was grateful for each night, like the smell of fresh bread or a kind cashier. He shared a car-fixing story with his grandson, who lit up, asking for more. Slowly, the fog lifted. Thomas learned to reframe his thoughts. When the news upset him, he'd ask, "What can I enjoy right now?" He cut back on negative TV, playing his old jazz records instead. He even volunteered to teach kids bike repairs at the community center, rediscovering his purpose. His home felt warm again, filled with voices he'd missed. What's one thing you're grateful for today? Share it in the comments. It might spark joy for someone else. If you haven't subscribed yet, join our community and turn on the bell so you don't miss more stories like Thomas's. Your support keeps us sharing ways to live brighter. Next, let's see how Thomas's appearance started fading and how he brought it back. Second, letting appearance slip away. Thomas was once known for his crisp shirts and polished boots, striding out of his garage with a grin. But as he aged, he thought, "Who's looking?" Mornings found him in worn sweatpants, his hair uncombed, his beard scruffy. He didn't notice the change, but others did. Neighbors who once waved warmly now gave quick nods. His daughter hesitated to invite him to her book club, mumbling about just a small gathering. Thomas felt it, a quiet distance, but didn't connect it to the mirror he avoided. This isn't about vanity, it's about self-worth. The original content mentioned hygiene, but didn't capture how neglecting appearance erodes confidence. For seniors, low energy or tight budgets can make grooming feel like a chore. Yet how you present yourself shapes how you feel inside. Research shows dressing well boosts dopamine, lifting mood and mental sharpness. When Thomas stopped caring, he was telling himself he didn't matter, and others sensed it. One day, Thomas caught his reflection in a shop window. The tired man staring back wasn't the Thomas he knew. He remembered his wife's words. "Dress like you're expecting a good day." The next morning, he pulled on a clean button-up and ran a comb through his hair. It felt strange, but good. At the diner, a waitress complimented his old mechanic's cap, and he stood taller. He started small, showering daily, trimming his nails, wearing colors that sparked memories of happier times. A splash of cologne became his signature again. These acts weren't about impressing anyone. They were about reclaiming his spark. Thomas noticed people lingered longer to chat. His daughter invited him to a family picnic, and he felt seen, not sidelined. Even his walks felt lighter, his posture straighter. He added a short stretch each morning, boosting his energy. Appearance became his daily reminder. I'm still here, and I matter. What's one thing you do to feel your best? Drop it in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell to catch more stories of rediscovery. Your support helps us keep these tips coming. Next, let's explore how Thomas got stuck in his ways and broke free. 3. Closing the door to new experiences. Thomas loved his routines. Coffee at dawn, lunch at the same diner, evenings with his trusty westerns. When his son handed him a smartphone, saying, "Dad, you can video chat the grandkids," Thomas waved it off. "I've lived just fine without that." But soon he overheard his daughter mention a family group chat. Photos, jokes, plans he never saw. His world felt smaller, but he dug in, insisting, "I don't need newfangled gadgets." The original content called this stubbornness, but it's deeper. Fear of failing or feeling out of place. Seniors like Thomas cling to the familiar to protect their independence, but it cuts them off. Learning new skills, like using tech, keeps the brain sharp and bonds strong. Studies show it reduces dementia risk and boosts confidence. Thomas wasn't just resisting a phone, he was missing his family's heartbeat. One lonely evening, Thomas found an old photo of his grandkids. He missed their giggles. His son had left the smartphone, so he picked it up, fumbling but curious. His grandson, visiting, saw him struggle and said, "Let me show you, Grandpa." They spent an hour laughing over missed texts and blurry selfies. Thomas's first video call was shaky, but seeing his granddaughter's face light up was magic. He started saying, "I'll try," instead of "no way." He sampled a new dish at the diner, even watched a sci-fi movie with his son. Each step made him feel younger, more connected. Thomas learned change isn't about losing himself, it's about growing. He asked his grandkids to teach him one app a month, turning it into a game. His world expanded, and so did his heart. What new thing have you tried lately? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, join us and turn on the bell for more ways to embrace life. Your support keeps these stories alive. Next, let's see how Thomas's home became a trap and how he freed himself. 4th, holding on to a cluttered past. Thomas's house was a time capsule. Old tools lined his garage, yellowed letters filled drawers, and clothes he hadn't worn in years hung in closets. "Everything's got a story," he'd say, brushing off his daughter's gentle nudges to declutter. But his home grew chaotic. Boxes blocked walkways, dust piled up. Friends stopped visiting, saying, "It's a bit crowded." Thomas felt trapped, his space as heavy as his thoughts. The original content noted clutter's impact, but missed its emotional grip. For seniors, holding on to items often means clinging to memories or fearing an empty future. Yet clutter raises stress and fall risks. Studies show it increases anxiety and injury in older adults. Thomas's clutter wasn't just stuff, it was a barrier to living fully. One day, Thomas tripped over a box, his heart racing. He realized his treasures were stealing his peace. He started small, clearing one shelf, asking, "Do I use this? Does it bring joy?" Most didn't. He donated tools to a youth program, keeping his favorite wrench for memories. He took photos of old letters, then recycled them. Each item released felt like a breath of fresh air. His home became safer, easier to navigate. Thomas turned decluttering into a ritual, tackling one corner weekly. He invited friends for coffee in his newly opened living room, their laughter filling the space. Letting go didn't erase his past. It made room for his present. What's one thing you've let go? Tell us below. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell for more ways to lighten your load. Your support fuels our mission. Next, let's talk about a habit that pushed Thomas's loved ones away. 5. Losing patience in small moments. Thomas never saw himself as short-tempered, but lately small things set him off. A slow cashier at the market made him mutter, "Can't you move faster?" A neighbor's long story had him tapping his foot, cutting her off. The cashier's embarrassed glance and the neighbor's quick goodbye stung him. He wondered, when did I become that person? The original content touched on impatience, but didn't explore how physical discomfort or loneliness fuels it. Seniors often face daily frustrations, pain, slower reflexes, a world that feels rushed. Snapping is a release, but it raises stress and alienates others. Health studies link chronic irritability to higher blood pressure. For Thomas, impatience was masking his struggle to feel in control. One morning, Thomas saw the same cashier, her hands trembling as she scanned items. He took a deep breath, remembering his wife's advice. Kindness costs nothing. Instead of rushing her, he smiled, saying, "Take your time. You're doing great." Her relieved grin warmed him. He started pausing before reacting, asking, "Is this worth my anger?" A slow driver became someone's grandpa, a long line a chance to people watch. He checked his health too. Pain was making him edgy, so he saw a doctor for relief. These shifts softened Thomas's days. Neighbors lingered to chat, sensing his warmth. His stress eased, his heart lighter. How do you handle life's little frustrations? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, join us and turn on the bell for more ways to find peace. Your support keeps us inspired. Next, let's see how Thomas learned to truly hear his family. 6. Forgetting to listen. Thomas loved telling stories. His days fixing cars, his adventures with his old crew. But lately his daughter's calls felt rushed. One day she sighed, "Dad, I love your stories, but I need you to hear mine too." Thomas was stunned. He hadn't noticed he was dominating their talks, jumping in with advice or steering back to his memories. The original content flagged over talking, but didn't dig into why seniors do it, often to feel relevant or fill lonely silences. Listening, though, is the glue of connection. Psychology research shows it deepens bonds and reduces isolation. Thomas's habit wasn't about ego, it was about fearing his voice was fading. After his daughter's words, Thomas vowed to change. The next call he asked, "How's work going?" and let her talk, resisting the urge to interrupt. Her stories about her new project flowed, and he heard her laugh, a sound he'd missed. He started asking open-ended questions like, "What's been exciting for you?" He put away distractions, focusing fully on her words. Their calls grew longer, warmer. Thomas applied this with others too. At the diner, he listened to a waitress's dream of studying nursing, nodding thoughtfully. She beamed, and he felt connected. Listening wasn't just hearing, it was giving others space to shine. When have you felt truly heard? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell for more ways to strengthen bonds. Your support keeps us going. Next, let's explore a habit Thomas found hard to admit. 7. Pushing help away. Thomas prided himself on independence. When a neighbor offered to carry his heavy grocery bags, he forced a smile, saying, "I've got it." But dragging them inside left him winded, his back aching. He sat alone, feeling not stronger, but lonelier. The original content noted refusing help, but missed how pride or fear of being a burden drives it. Accepting help builds connection, and studies show social support boosts longevity in seniors. Thomas's refusal wasn't about strength. It was about not wanting to feel old, but struggling solo drained him. One day he dropped a bag, apples rolling everywhere. A young neighbor rushed over, and this time Thomas said, "Thanks, I'd appreciate the help." They carried the bags together, chatting about the boys' school. Thomas felt a spark of warmth. He started saying yes more, letting a friend drive him to the store, asking his daughter to help with yard work. Each time he saw smiles, not pity. He realized accepting help let others feel useful too. He even asked his grandson to set up his email, turning it into a fun afternoon. Help wasn't weakness. It was a bridge to those he loved. When have you accepted help that made a difference? Tell us below. If you haven't subscribed, join our community and turn on the bell for more ways to stay connected. Your support fuels our mission. Next, let's see how Thomas was saving joy for a day that never came. 8. Waiting for someday to feel alive. Thomas was a saver, every penny tucked away for just in case. When a friend invited him to a jazz concert, he hesitated, calculating the cost. Maybe next time, he said, but next time never came. His days felt flat, his savings untouched. The original content mentioned frugality, but didn't stress how denying joy starves the spirit. Happiness studies show experiences, not possessions, bring lasting fulfillment. Thomas wasn't just saving money, he was postponing life, fearing an uncertain future. One evening, flipping through old photos, he saw himself dancing with his wife, carefree. When had he last felt that? His friend called again, insisting, "This concert's for you." Thomas went, the music washing over him like a warm wave. He laughed, clapped, and felt alive. He set a small joy fund for outings, a diner breakfast, a park picnic. He said yes to a neighbor's game night, finding laughter was free. He asked himself, if not now, when? And started savoring small moments. A sunset, a favorite song. His savings were still secure, but his heart was richer. What's one joy you've embraced lately? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell for more ways to live fully. Your support keeps us inspired. Next, let's see how Thomas bridged the gap with his grandson. 9. Shutting out younger generations. Thomas adored his grandson, Liam, but their visits grew awkward. When Liam raved about a new video game, Thomas sighed, "In my day, we played outside." Liam went quiet, leaving early. Thomas felt a pang. He'd meant to share wisdom, not push him away. The original content noted this divide, but didn't explore how seniors feel out of touch with youth culture. Family studies show mutual respect bridges generational gaps. Thomas's comments weren't about games. They were about feeling disconnected from Liam's world. One day he saw Liam's game console and asked, "What's fun about this?" Liam's eyes lit up, explaining the strategy. Thomas listened, then shared a story about racing bikes as a kid. They found common ground. Thomas started asking questions. "What's new with your friends?" And encouraged Liam's dreams, not critiquing his choices. He even tried a game, laughing at his clumsy moves. Their visits grew longer, filled with stories both ways. Thomas realized connection wasn't about changing Liam. It was about meeting him halfway. How do you connect with younger folks? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, join us and turn on the bell for more ways to build bonds. Your support keeps us motivated. Next, let's talk about a habit that nearly cost Thomas everything. 10. Ignoring the body's whispers. Thomas chalked up his dizzy spells to getting old. He ignored blurry vision too, until one morning, reaching for his coffee, he swayed and fell. Pain shot through his hip and panic set in. At the hospital, the doctor said, "This could have been caught earlier." The original content warned of health neglect but didn't stress its urgency. Small symptoms can signal big issues. Dizziness might mean dehydration or stroke risk. Proactive care extends independence, per medical research. Thomas's denial wasn't laziness, it was fear of bad news. His fall was a wake-up call. He saw his doctor, who adjusted his diet and prescribed meds for blood pressure. Thomas started drinking more water, walking daily, and joining a senior balance class. His dizziness faded, his energy returned. He ate more greens, slept better, and scheduled checkups, no longer brushing off little signs like fatigue or pain. His family noticed he was steadier, brighter. Thomas realized caring for his body wasn't a chore, it was freedom. What health step have you taken recently? Share below. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell for more life-saving stories. Your support fuels our mission. Thomas's porch isn't quiet anymore. Laughter echoes again. His grandkids visit, neighbors drop by, and he feels alive. By letting go of bitterness, embracing change, and listening to his body, he rewrote his story. Here's what he taught us. Small steps spark big change. A smile, a new habit, or a doctor's visit can transform your life. Connection heals. Listening and staying open keep loneliness at bay. Joy is now. Don't wait to live. Savor the moment. Health is freedom. Care for your body to stay vibrant. Which part of Thomas's journey hit home? What's one change you'll try? Share in the comments to inspire others. If this story moved you, like and share it with someone who needs it. And if you haven't subscribed, join our community and turn on the bell for more ways to age with purpose and joy. Your support helps us keep spreading hope. Here's to aging not just gracefully, but brilliantly.